Hey, I'm back with another product review. So Anycubic reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to check out one of their other printers. And I was like, yeah, sure. Because then I can get a free printer out of the deal. So I believe this is the Pro version. We'll take a look inside. But yes, well, it's not a sponsored review, but the printer was provided to me by Anycubic. So thanks, Anycubic. Let's take a look inside. I think I opened it upside down. Is there an indicator of which way's up? Okay, it's weird. I guess it's just packaged differently than the, what was it, the Mega Zero? Ooh, look at all that stuff. Now I have a confession to make. This video has slightly more than zero production value. I'm filming it in my kitchen, so it's got really good light. There's a good excuse to clean off this table. But the production value of which I speak is the fact I unplugged my refrigerator to make it more quiet. All right. Oh, looks like it comes with a pair of sunglasses for some reason. That looks like a E3D clone nozzle there. I'll just set this bag aside. It still seems like it's upside down. Maybe I'm upside down. What's that line? You may well call this society upside down as you occupy its lowest rung. What movie was that? Okay, so yeah, so this is the larger Anycubic. I believe it's, you know, my friend has a bunch of these at Spooky Pinball. So it's got a heated bed, which is different than the Mega Zero I looked at. And it looks like it's all one unit. So I'm guessing, yeah, looks like the electronics are going to plug in the side here, if I had to guess. You like the motors and whatnot. Yeah, it just seems like it's... Also, I haven't found the instruction book yet. Oh, this looks like the Z and X gantry. Yeah, usually like a... Yeah, it's kind of weird. Yeah, it feels like it's packed upside down. Again, I just went by the label on the box, but that's my feedback. That's why you sent it to me, right? For feedback? Now, aside from feeling like it's packed upside down, the packaging itself is quite nice. It almost seems like simpler. I mean, really, it's just the base and this gantry, I guess. Gantry is always a fun word. It's kind of like pantry. Yeah, let's see. It's... Well, this is why I filmed next to my refrigerator, obviously, so there's magnets handy. Yep, okay, so it's steel. Yeah, there's 2 Z drive motors along with 2 lead screws. A lot of printers, it's kind of like the fashion to only have one, but this was kind of like the older rep style, and I think that should be good. Oh, that's weird. There's a nozzle installed, so what, did they send me a spare nozzle? I wonder what that's all about. Mega Pro assembly instructions. Install the base. Oh, I need to find a bunch of screws. It's just like IKEA. And what a shock. Bud has found a box. You like that box, Bud? Remember, that plastic cannot be used in cribs. So don't let me catch you putting that plastic into a crib. I mean a baby's crib, not like MTV cribs. This is probably a really minor observation, but it doesn't seem like there's any good way to set this down. Like, if I set it down there, it hits the extruder block. If I set it down like this, that's probably actually the best way. But, you know, if you set it down like this, you're gonna hit the Bowden extruder. So I think I'll just set it back here. Have you noticed every shot of Stranger Things starts with a close-up of them dumping things on a table? Yeah, it's slightly bigger. Yeah, the quality, it's not, I mean, it looks like a E3D hot end, but looks like it's cast aluminum. Where's my magnets? Yep. Yeah, it's cast aluminum, not milled aluminum. Well, this explains the sunglasses. For some reason, there's a laser in it. Wait, it's not like a laser cutter, is it? No, is it? No. What is the point? That's not the smallest laser. What is that for? I guess I'll have to read the manual. Take a look at this. They included a piece of 3mm plywood. So yeah, I believe this has a laser cutter attachment to it. Check out this totally decent spatula. Also made of steel. It's stuck to my fridge. Okay, so what I'm after are the screws, which I'm guessing are in this bag. It's not as many screws as the Mega Zero. I guess it's easier to assemble. Okay, looks like there are 8 M5 screws. Okay. And looks like, yeah, they just gave us, it's either a baker's dozen or there's something else that uses 2 of these screws. Okay, let's take this. Looks like it bolts onto the side. Wait, where did the cables go? Oh, do I have to put them underneath? That's not... Let me double check. Yeah, I guess that's supposed to go underneath because it says slide the base into the frame. But really, I think it's more like you're sliding the frame into the base. Because there's going to be feet on it, I assume. So we're going to have to go over those feet. Come on. Oh, come on. Okay, there we go. See, there's a little bit of slop. Of course, I haven't screwed it all the way in yet. So what I'll do is I'll put in 2 screws per side. Not even hand tight, just basically in. And then I will go from there. You know, what might have been nice, although it would have cost like, 3 cents more of metal if there was a piece like here, like at 45 degrees, so that when this is standing on end, it actually stands up. Because, you've got these weighted things off to the side. See, the center of gravity is not centered on this beam, which means this will tip over unless something's holding it. So just like a little bit of a flange there would have actually made that a little easier to work with. I just looked it up. This printer is $350, although right now it's on sale for $330. Yes, kitten. And yes, it is intended to do laser engraving. Okay, here's the filament holder. I think they got the scale wrong on this part, though. There's something in the test tube. I have no idea what it is. It's like a little rod or spring or something. So you're meant to loosen these screws here and then slide the filament holder onto it. See it all around you, good love and gone bad. Kind of a weird place for the spool holder. Oh, I see what they're going to do. They're going to spool up, in. Red cable is packed in the Z motor casing. Okay, so that's that. So this multi-wire goes to the bottom. I'll do that one first. Oh, the filament sensor. That's cool. It's cool that it has one of those. It'll detect if the filament's broken or not moving, I believe. So it's going to go from the spool to the detector and then up to the Bowden extruder. Okay, I guess I'm ready to level the machine. It has manual leveling, which is this paper, but also assisted leveling, which is probably that thing. Here it is. So this is not fancy at all. This is basically, this is like a single key in a keyboard. It's a conductive ink piece. See, it's basically got 2 contacts on it, and that's all there is to it. So apparently we can use this. All right. Turn on machine. I'll just reach through it for safety. Wow, look at that. Anycubic. What kind of ring would you like for your wedding, dear? Oh, Anycubic zirconium would be fine. Push it over the hot end. Okay. Oh, how cute. And then it plugs in up here. I guess. All right. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Setup. Apparently it's got an alarm that's going to sound. Slowly tighten or loosen the adjustable nut, which is this, underneath until the alarm is just triggered. The first alarm sound means the distance is optimal. So the knobs are labeled up and down so you know which way to turn. I'm going to go up slightly. Come on. Oh, there it is. Why is the alarm connected to a fan? It sounds like my multimeter. Multimeter, I don't care what you think. Oh, you know what it's doing? It's compressing the tip of the nozzle against the silk screen button. Oh, now we're in this corner. All right. Let's go up again. Oh, now this is a little, seems like one of these wires has run into the adjustment wheel. Okay, there we go. Your bean burrito is done. And I don't think I got the first corner quite right, so I'll probably do this a second time. Then it's wanting us to remove the sensor and put on this protective block. Oh yeah, you don't want to burn your fingers. Oh, it's got this interesting textured glass base. That's pretty cool. It's heated, isn't it? Oh, I'm sure it is. Yeah, it is. Okay, now I gotta load filament. Let's see. Tools. Filament. Okay, filament in. Temperature is too low. The heating start. So I guess that goes there. What keeps it from falling off the edge? Oh, there's a little lip. Okay. All right, so while that's happening, I need to run this through the filament sensor. That's this thing here. And it looks like it goes... Oh, can you hear that? It's just a micro switch, so it's probably just going to detect brakes. All right. It's a nice straight shot though, see? Right into the extruder. Oh, I think I have to hit filament in again to grab it. All right, so I'm gonna just push it up slightly and hit filament in. Yep, there it goes. Oh, that's interesting, it's continuing to take it automatically. Because obviously it has to go all the way through this tube and then to the extruder. Does it know when to stop though? You don't know when to stop! Oh, I will click stop when it starts to come out of the tip. Oh, in addendum, in my Anycubic Mega Zero review, I complained about getting filament to load into this, and apparently you're not really supposed to use the lever, you're just supposed to put the filament up to the teeth and then let it pull through, like I did just now, but yeah. But of course the other one didn't have as cool of a menu as this one. Extrude! There it is. All right, are there any test prints on the SD card? Let's see, return, print, owl pair, G-code, there's 2 copies of that. Dinosaur bitmap. Oh, I bet that's for the laser engraver. Like a lot of 3D printers, it's the bed that takes forever to heat up. Also, I plugged my refrigerator back in because there's no way you'll hear it over this machine. Yeah, this cable I'm not crazy about. It seems like this adjustment wheel would hit it, probably. So maybe I can remove the zip tie and try something else, but we'll just see how this goes. I don't know how big this is actually going to be. See what kind of first layer adhesion we get. Not seen anything extrude. Oh wait, now it's starting to. I'm sure this is probably that owl design I've seen a million times. It shows. Overall, I mean, that automatic leveling, that was pretty easy. You know, it's easier than having to put a piece of paper under there and guess, which I've done many, many times. And now keep in mind, this is the first thing I've printed, so it looks like we missed our extrusion there and the skirt didn't print. Also, if you see the lines between it, looks like it might be slightly under extruding. Bud, why are you sitting out here underneath the printer when you have a perfectly good cat bed that you never use? Oh, I know why. Because cords. I wonder if this is using 32-bit or 8-bit hardware. We'll have to take a look inside once we get some prints out of it. Take these test prints at very low infill. I'm trying to find the settings for this printer so I can run my own prints, but I haven't found them yet. Maybe there's a new Cura plugin for it. I'll have to keep looking. You know, actually, I think I'm going to stop this owl print and print out something that I'm more familiar with. Oh, this menu's a little weird. It's like this grid. It looks like a pachinko game or something. Let's see how easily these owls remove from this. Oh, not too bad. Now let's see where we were so far. I don't think that's... Is that part of the print? Oh, actually, I think it is. It's supposed to be like fake wood or something. Oh yeah, because you got like fake wood texture on the end here. It's like an owl sitting on a log. Had some trouble at the start. See how it wasn't quite extruding? This one probably looks, yeah, completely consistent. Yeah, maybe ever so slightly under extruded, but not too bad. So yeah, I'm gonna print off a cap for like one of my accessibility controllers, and we'll see how well it interfaces with a pre-existing part from another printer. Okay, so unlike the owls right out of the box, this one's printing the first layer right away. So there's probably just like a little bit of under extrusion, or maybe the filament wasn't completely stuffed inside of the tube. So yeah, this, well, let's see, 1%, 2 minutes. What would that be? Oh, 2% at 2 minutes. All right, so this shouldn't take too long. I bumped the speed up to 7,200 RPM. I would think this thing can go faster, but maybe we'll take a look at the electronics afterwards. All right, we'll be back.
Yes, there is the print. It is almost done.
Yeah, I do see some compression on the line, so yeah, maybe the Z still needs a little bit of adjustment. Maybe I could try running the profiler again without that piece of paper. Although actually no, if the piece of paper is there, that would cause it to trigger early, which would cause there to be too large of a gap instead of a squished layer. Okay, the print is done. Let's take it off. Channel locks. Give it a twist. There we go. Could use some dialing in. Well, here's a good test. So this was printed on, I don't remember which printer, a different printer. So let's see if they interlock. They do! Yay! Okay, so before I take this downstairs and hook it up to my other computer to do some more tests, I just thought I'd look inside of it. So I got a pretty big beefy power supply here. I'm assuming it's 24 volts. Yeah, so you got your screen here, which looks like it has its own microcontroller and flash, and another SD card slot. And then you have your main board and your drivers. And actually, if we take off this fan, we should be able to... Oh, it's a kitten. Yeah, I know, kitten. There's a lot of packaging that came with this that you get to play with. No, don't jump on the kitchen counter, even though you probably could, but I'm glad you haven't figured it out yet. It's kind of funny, the fan, it's mostly pointed on the XYZ axis. Oh, there's like two. Oh, that's because there's two Z motors. Okay, so you got XY, extruder, ZZ. Okay, oh, here's a look at the chip. Oh, I think it is an Atmel. Let's see. Maybe it's just another 1280. Yep, it's ATmega 2560. So it's still an 8-bit processor, although it's one of the bigger 8-bit processors. I don't know, can't remember who told me, not on Twitter, but the Anycubic Mega Zero that I reviewed, there's actually a BKR 32-bit replacement module for its CPU. So yeah, although this thing seems to work pretty well, even if it's just 8-bit. Fan solution, that's a bit weird. You know, it probably would have been better if it blew this way across them, like so if they had like a right angle like that, right? Because the fan will be blowing in, so it's going to be blowing air from the bottom of the unit up. Yeah, I think it would have been better to have the fan here. Maybe I could rig that up, because then the fan would blow, well, of course there's not much behind it. Well, there's a power supply, which also has a fan, but then it would at least blow past all of them and then be able to go out the side here where there's some vents. Also, that's probably why there's another microcontroller and looks like a big flash memory or a big RAM on the LCD driver board, because an ATmega 2560 wouldn't be able to handle a screen of that resolution. It just, well, it might, but it wouldn't do a very good job of it. Oh yeah, I looked it up. That's ST Microelectronics, yeah, that's an STM32F103, which is a Cortex M3 ARM processor. Maximum speed 72 megahertz versus 16 for the Atmel 2560, and it's also going to be 32-bit, so okay, that's a bit ironic. So the screen driver microcontroller is far more advanced than what's actually driving the printer. It's in 2020. That's getting to be on the, that's flirting with obsolescence. I mean, I know they still use the chip, but so many new printers are using 32-bit, so hopefully Anycubic moves up to that pretty soon. I mean, they have a 32-bit Marlin. That's what I used on my Flash Forgery printer. We might look back at the the video game console bit wars of the 1990s and laugh, but you know, bits are important. Especially if you're doing lots of math, which a printer does do. Because if you have an 8-bit microcontroller, any operation beyond 8 bits, you have to use multiple memory locations. You have to do multiple. You have to do multiple operations to compute it, right? Like if you want to say, oh, what's 10,000 plus 35,000? Well, those are both 16-bit numbers, so you're using what? At least 4 registers to compute that value. Whereas in a 32-bit processor, 32 bits, you know, that gets you what? 4.2 billion unsigned. So you can do a lot more math in the same number of clock cycles because you have, well, because you have a 16-bit or 32-bit processor. As far as this printer is concerned, that's probably one of the things that might end up limiting its speed. Like I have that updated flash forge that I made with the SKR 1.3, and that thing just flies. That thing is fast. Gives me a heavy heart, but I think I might have to move the MakerBot aside. One of the nozzles is clogged, so it definitely is in need of maintenance. I have been using it to print NinjaFlex a lot. Since it's a slow printer, it's really not, you know, disadvantaged by printing the slow NinjaFlex. But yeah, don't worry, MakerBot, I'm not giving up on you. Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you, never gonna make you cry, never gonna say goodbye, never gonna run around and hurt you. At this point, the MakerBot, it's more like I just want to see how long it can last, you know? Like, where's that fire station where there's a light bulb that's been on for like 120 years? Kind of like that. This screen is a bit hard to film. I'm going to go with filament remove. Temperature is too low. Well, obviously. They included a roll of this light gray filament. There's actually something I could use this for. So, yeah, I'm going to print a part that I typically use for my PlayStation 4 single-handed controllers. Okay, I just connected to it using Simplify 3D. And it made a beep sound. Now it looks like it reset the filament removal. Oh, it's actually reversing the motor. That's nice. Or I could just pull this and yank it out manually. That way I don't have to wait. I think I've got a bit of a jam here at the end of the nozzle. Or the, well, in the extruder. Yeah, see the bulbous end? Maybe, gosh. Well, let's see if it can just be a problem. I'll pull it up that way. Well, at least this is removable if that happens. Maybe the fact that I was trying to pull it out quickly is what fouled me up. If I just lift up the lever, it just goes right through, and you can probably see it change color ever so slightly. I'm just gonna take it all the way to the nozzle. There we go. See, that way I don't have to sit there and wait for it to go neat, neat. Okay, I'm gonna print up one of these shaft interfaces for my PlayStation 4 single-headed controllers. This one's a bit rough because it was made out of some old ABS. So we're gonna see how this machine does. Okay, it's actually maybe a little on the low side. That is to say, the Z should be up a little bit. We could rerun the profile. Again, I'm not sure if I was supposed to use that sensor with the paper on or the paper off. Grab my tweezers here and just stick my hand into the maw. Don't try this at home, kids. Yeah, that came off pretty easily. So I think after this print, I will probably readjust it with the sensor. I'm guessing the bed's gonna have to come up just a little tiny bit. Running this at 7,200 millimeters per minute, which is the same speed I run my Maker Gear at. Maker Gear is also an 8-bit. Actually, I believe it's the same thing. It's got the ramps board, so it's a ATmega 2560. You know what they should have done? They should have used the Cortex M3 on the video board to drive the whole thing. Yeah, I'm not sure about the first layer overhang. I believe this part has a little bit of a fillet on the bottom of it, which would be a rounded edge. The sidewalls look pretty good, though. Okay, it's done. Let's take a look. Okay, yeah, that pulled off a little too easily, which means, yeah, I think the Z needs to come up a little bit. It's kind of stringy. I don't know if that's because of the Z. See, there's some gaps. Yeah, let's try interfacing it with this. Okay, that fits. It's a little loose, but that's okay. And the other side is this. Okay, well, it interfaces with existing 3D printed parts. But yeah, there's definitely... yeah, I don't know what's causing that. I think I'm going to readjust the Z and try it again. Yeah, let's do the Z procedure again. So I took off the rubber shield and plugging the sensor in. I'm going to run through the 4 corners again, and then I will try the same print again. I think this beeper is just a circuit that is always on. It's... whatever. Alright, I think we're going to go up here. Alright, gonna print it again using the same settings, and we'll see if it makes a difference. It was a decent bit off with the Z. Oh, I should probably unplug this sensor thing before it prints. The piece with the re-zine done was a little better, but it still has some gaps. I'm wondering if there's something else I'm doing wrong. I went back to the default speed of 5200 RPM, which is what the default Anycubic setting was in Simplify 3D, so we'll see how this one turns out. Yeah, it looks like the layer quality is a lot more consistent than the first two. Again, this is at 5200, maybe it's 5400, I can't remember what the default is. But it's slower, although it doesn't really... I think the last one took 55 minutes and this one's 57, so... Of course, you know, that speed is the max speed, not the normal speed. Like when you're doing a circle, of course, it's going to be slower than drawing a straight line. No, kitten, you can't be around 3D printers. You may find them fascinating, but if you touch it, you will become burned. You will turn into Liam Neeson cat. And not like Liam Neeson from Rob Roy, or that movie where his daughter was taken from him. No, it'd be like Darkman Liam Neeson. I mean, it is cool that you'd be in a Sam Raimi movie, but I mean, yeah, kitten, it's kind of warm. I know you're also fascinated with my stove. Look how cute he's getting. I got kitten fat. Here, check out. He's got all sorts of kitten fat. So he's turning into a cat. Yeah. Yeah, if you turn into Liam Neeson cat, you're gonna run around yelling, Julie! I printed another one at 5400. This one also seems to have some of the separation layer issues, so I think I'm going to try a different filament. Yeah, I think the filament has gone past the gears, but it's still trying to remove it. Okay, yeah, I was able to pull the filament out of the extruder. I had to pull fairly strongly. And then also, if you don't clip off the distorted end, it doesn't look like it wants to go through the filament detector either. Okay, the benchiest printing. We'll see how it turns out. Yeah, it's got some rings on it. I'm not sure exactly what's up with that. I think the print quality there could be better. I'll have to take a look when it's finished though. I'm trying it again at a lower speed. I contacted Anycubic and they said they recommend 60 millimeters a second, which would be 3,600 millimeters a minute. So that's what I'm running this piece at. Again, this is a piece that I've run many times on other printers, so I can compare the quality. Okay, I'm trying another one. This is 100 millimeters a second or 6,000 millimeters a minute. People say that the imperial system is dumb because it's based off like thumbs and feet, but what about time? We base it off of a rock orbiting a bunch of gas in space. It's like, oh, I guess this is how you divide time, based off your rock and your ball of gas. It always bothers me in Star Trek when they are talking to alien races and they say years, and it's like, oh, Federation years? I see how that works. I mean, I guess they have star dates, but then they still use the word year. Anyway, I'm working on a single-handed controller here for PlayStation 4, and I can use some of the parts that I'm test printing on it, so that's cool. I don't just print things to print them, I print them to use. Okay, let's take a look at a couple pieces. This piece was done at the medium setting, so 0.2 millimeter layer height. Let's zoom in on that. We can see some visible lines. I mean, obviously you're always going to have visible lines. There is some deviation in the layers. Kind of looks like, you know, like rock sediment. Rock sediment, not sediment, over the years. Probably not as good a quality as my other printers. Of course, this printer costs a lot less than my other printers. My other printers are, you know, thousands of dollars. Now, here's the same file. This was printed with the fine setting, so it's going to be 0.1 millimeter layer height, and this one's actually very smooth. The print quality on this one is pretty good. So it seems like perhaps with these lower price printers, you need to. Oh, that's from my that's from my clamps when I removed it. Because I also noticed for some reason the part printed in a higher quality. Yeah, if you look at the bottom, see how you can see the texture. Oh, it's kind of cool, almost looks like a hologram. The texture copied over, and even with the same, well, I guess you can see it, the texture here as well. But for some reason, the fine printed part was harder to remove. I had to really grasp it with my pliers. Yeah, this part was printed on my Maker Gear, which is like a $2,000 printer, made in Ohio, I think it is. Now, this is printed in fast quality, basically, so it can be done pretty well. But I would say one thing that I've noticed with the Anycubic is, when you print at a faster quality or a lower quality, the quality tends to be not as good as other more expensive printers, also printed in that same low quality. It's supposed to fit together. There we go. Yeah, okay. That's a good fit, so it's dimensionally correct as far as compared to my other printers. But yeah, you can see, so this is printed at 0.1 and this is printed at 0.3. Quite the difference. My rule of thumb, like when I'm building my single-handed controllers, is I don't want the print time of the parts to exceed the time it takes me to actually build the controller. So I print the pieces at different resolutions. I usually don't print anything at fine. I think what I'm going to do is this piece right here, this is actually the shaft that goes on one of my single-handed controllers. I'm going to try printing this same piece on the Anycubic, but with the 0.3 layer height, and we'll see how it compares. Oh, and I'm using Simplify 3D to do my slicing. It says this part's going to take 41 minutes, which is about the same speed it takes on the Maker Gear. I also have my updated Flash Forge. This one's really fast. Of course, this is my only 3D printer that has a 32-bit processor as well. Has the GEEETECH SKR 1.3 on it. Can print this in about 1 hour. But again, for me, it's about speed. I want the parts fast. I'm not printing like, dinosaur skulls and rockets. Sometimes you can tell in the first layer if the bed is a little off, and if I'm looking at this, if you look at the rear side of it, see how the skirt, the thing that prints around the part, is a little thinner. So I think the rear wheels might be a little too high up, so I think I'll actually just manually adjust them as this prints. So, I'll just stick my arm in the moving machine, I'm a wild child when it comes to things like that. Oh, and there's the sloth drawing ready to be auctioned off for charity. This piece also has supports on the inside of it, so we'll see how well those break away as well. Okay, let's have a look at some of these parts. So this was printed on my Maker Gear, which is like a $2,000 printer. This is in rough quality, 0.3 millimeter layer height. Yeah, you can definitely see the lines, especially up here where it transitions on the slope. All right, so let's look at a 0.3 from the Anycubic. Yeah, you still have the same kind of rough transition here. Because, even though you're printing something that's allegedly rounded, you're really actually printing multiple 2D layers. So it's only going to resolve to the minimum layer thickness. So if this is a 0.3, millimeter height piece, then your stair-stepping on a slope is going to be 0.3 millimeters. There's a little bit more randomosity with the layers versus the Maker Gear. The Maker Gear is a little bit more consistent, the one on the right. Of course, it's also like, what? 5 times the price? Yeah, let's see how these supports remove. Oh, let's remove easy as pie, no problem. Okay, you can see our textured bottom there. One thing I always tell people who are new to 3D printing, I always tell them, design the parts knowing in which orientation you're going to print them, because there always has to be a flat portion. Unless you want to have insane amounts of support, which, causes its own issues. Okay, let's try interfacing this with a cap. This cap was also printed on the Anycubic. I can tell by the the texture pattern. Yeah, so this is a pretty nice part. Let's go to, there's another 0.3. also the Anycubic. One thing I noticed, see how I have the support here? And there's supposed to be support here as well. For whatever reason, that stuck to the table better than this. It's probably because like this support, that I'm pushing it with my finger. Obviously, you know, this isn't forceful vision, but that support removed pretty easily, which probably means that the support's adhesion to the top and bottom layers isn't super great, which is also probably why when I pulled it up, the little bit here stuck to the bed and not the print. Yeah, but again, this is pretty much the same. Well, it looks like it's a mirror up. No, I know it's the same part. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So this is the same part, just printed twice on the Anycubic. Okay, now I have some higher resolution samples. This is a 0.2 millimeter layer height. So if we go to this portion here at the top, we should see, well, not twice the resolution, but we should see 33% more resolution. I don't know if you can see that on camera, how there's fewer, well, no, there'd be more steps on this because we're subdividing it. And normally I wouldn't print a part like this at 0.2 because it just takes too long. Because I'm more about printing physical objects that serve a purpose rather than like are artful. Is that a word, artful? Yeah, so then we have also, this is 0.1 millimeter resolution. One thing I noticed, if you look at this one, the pattern from the table is much more pronounced on this versus the 0.3. So I think there's like some sort of like more first layer compression going on with the 0.1 process. Okay, that's still remove easy as can be. So let's compare the stepping. This should be quite pronounced. Oh yeah. Now you're still gonna see it because, you know, 0.1 millimeter isn't like it's, you know, infinitesimal. It's not like a plank distance or anything, but it's still a lot smoother. Then if you look at the part itself, like, you know, once you get down to like 0.1, you get to the point where you can barely see the lines with the human eye. But yeah, it's pretty good. So I would say, even though this printer could be faster, which I think is a limitation of its 8-bit CPU, these were all printed at 90 millimeters a minute, which is on the upper end of what they recommend, or what would that be, 5,400, I almost said 5,400 RPM, 5,400 millimeters a minute. Yeah, but a part like this, well, not the 0.1 layer height, but the 0.3 layer height, it printed in about the same time as my Maker Gear, which is about 41 minutes for this part. So that's not too bad. And again, you know, I'm comparing it to printers that are much more expensive. Oh yeah, the removable supports on the Maker Gear require probably at least 4 times the force to remove. Of course, that could be just a difference in the filament. No, actually, no, this is all being printed with the same filament. Actually, here, I've been buying this lately off Amazon, GEEETECH 3D printing filament. The thing that I like about it is it's usually very nicely wound, and it's like $21. I saw my cat batting around a 3D printed cylinder, and I was like, oh, I should 3D print a cat toy. So I'm printing a small version of it first to see if the design works, and if it works, I'll print the larger version, which will probably be like a 3 or 4 hour print for this printer, but that would be a good final stress test. Kind of looks like the spine of a creature with like ribs coming out of it, doesn't it? Excited for the cat toy I'm printing you, bud? Well, this is just a small model of it. Maybe we'll use up some of your energy. You know what you really need? I need to build you a robot. Or I guess I could just buy a Roomba. Bud, stay out of the garbage. No! I have fancy from cat food for you. You don't need to debase yourself like that. What is that, bud? Is it a 3D print? Don't go any closer. It's hot. Yeah, isn't that fascinating? All right, see what you can knock off the table. Good job. Maybe Bud will like one of these from my junk bin. Here, Bud, come here. Fetch. Get it. I'm hoping his dog firmware goes away and he just gets lazy cat firmware soon. My sister said, a dog is like a kid, a cat is like a roommate, but I think a kitten is more like a kid. So the idea here is this is a cat roller toy with 3 balls inside of it, and the balls are being printed in place. Look at all your stripes. Just squish that cat. Squish that cat. All you gotta do is squish that cat. There's a little nub on the end, which I'm going to tie yarn to, at least in the full-size version. And I forgot to add supports to it, but actually kind of printed in air, not too badly. I mean, there's a little underhang, but Yeah, well, and the big one, of course, will add supports. Yeah, see those little balls in there, like peas in a pod? Now again, there's no overhead support, but I think it should be okay because it's circular. The garbage can is empty now. There's no leftover Arby's in there for you to try to eat. It's too salty for you anyway. Too salty for me too. Okay, it's starting to do the overhang. Let's see if they meet in the middle properly. Okay, here's the test print off the printer. Yeah, you can see here, I didn't do any support, but it actually didn't do that bad of a job. But I should have added support at least here. So let's see if these balls break away on the inside. Oh yeah, not too difficult. Yeah, not too bad. All right, now that I know the basic concept will work, I will print a larger version of this. Bud is testing the prototype right now. I have these special rigs on my printer, like I actually made a custom extruder for my Mahir M2, so I can very quickly remove filament. So I'm used to just yanking it out, right? Just yanking it right out of the machine once it's hot. So a printer like this, where it manually indexes it in and out of the Bowden extruder, does require a lot more patience on my part. And something else I noticed, yeah, I mentioned this earlier, but when you're removing the filament, usually there's like a little bit of a blob on the end from when it came out of the head, when it was backed out of the hot nozzle, and sometimes it's difficult getting that blob through this mechanism, so I was having to yank on it pretty decently. Yeah, so far so good. And we're about an hour and a half in. Everything seems good so far. We have our supports printing. A little over halfway. Probably about an hour to go. Let's see the balls on the inside. Yeah, so far so good. I'm gonna give it some weight by trapping a pinball inside. Yeah. It's doing some air extrusions across the top. It's doing a pretty decent job of it. I mean, there is going to be some overhang because I should have had some supports, but I'm trying this with no supports, and I think it should accomplish it. The inside of it might kind of have a dirty side here, but once it finishes up, it should look okay. Okay, it's stitching up the top, and it's just about done. Hey, it's done! And the time estimate from Simplify 3D was almost exactly right. It's only about 7 minutes off. Oh yeah, got a pinball in there, that's for sure. All right. Let's just clean up this overhang. I wanted there to be holes in it so my cat can see the objects inside and, you know, get excited. Let's see if these balls... Oh yeah, no problem. Move them. Oh yeah, my cat's gonna love that. It's so loud and annoying. There we go. 3D printed cat toy using the Anycubic Mega Pro. Let's see how he likes it. Yeah, that pinball should help it maintain inertia. Yeah. I know you wanted to play today, bud, but I was busy making you a super cool toy. Let's turn on the lights. Oh, what is it? What is it? Go get it! Get it, bud, get it! It's disappointing. He seemed to like the smaller one better. Maybe this is too large. Maybe it intimidates him. Now that can't be, because he has no problems like jumping on me. Oh, sorry. Come on, this is much cooler than the pill bottles you're always knocking over in the bathroom. Okay, so to recap, the Anycubic Mega Pro. Okay, so pros for the unit. Low price, good build quality. It's very sturdy, made of steel, and it was pretty easy to assemble. Actually, it was a lot easier to assemble than the cheaper model. The prints that come out of it are high quality for the money. Yeah, I mean, they were definitely comparable with some other printers that I own that cost quite a bit more. And there's an easy to use touchscreen, and the leveling feature, while not really that advanced, it definitely works, and it's very easy to use. And it's nice that the adjustment knobs are labeled up or down so you know which way to turn them. Okay, so on to some cons. The max speed is limited by the 8-bit microcontroller unit, the CPU, the brains of the unit. It would be nice to see that get bumped up in the future. And then also the filament loading could be a little easier. It's kind of slow, and then you have to be careful not to get it jammed in those gears when you're retracting it. But I do like the fact that it has a filament runout sensor, so you know if there's some sort of catastrophic error while you're printing. And I assume it would also have a pause and resume feature so you could swap the filament out. All right, well, there you go. That's my review of the Anycubic Mega Pro. Thanks to Anycubic for sending it to me for review. And yeah, if you're interested in getting one of these, there's going to be links below. They're having a Black Friday sale. And yeah, check it out. It's pretty solid. As I mentioned, I know Spooky Pinball pretty much has like, I don't know, 10 of these that they use to like just pump out prints all the time. And yeah, you don't have to run it over your computer or Simplify 3D. You can load all your parts onto an SD card and then just run them directly from the machine itself. That way you don't have to worry about a USB connection. All right, well, hope you enjoyed that review, learned a little bit about 3D printing. But anyway, we'll see you in the next video.